1 year in, on rivers, reckoning, and the grace of still being here. A few years ago, I woke up in a Philadelphia hotel room with my fingers already reaching for my phone. My son was asleep nearby, football camp waiting in the morning. I was somewhere between the dream I just had and the life I was about to build, not knowing yet how much those two things would become the same thing. In the dream, I was immersed in what I can only describe as the river of all consciousness. Ideas were moving through me, puzzle pieces snapping into place. A name, a mission, a frequency, arriving before I had language for any of it. I typed everything I remembered, and I knew, in the way you sometimes just know, that I was going to see it through. That dream lived in me for years. It waited while I launched a resort in Costa Rica. It knocked while I was catapulted into an executive role. It was patient in the way that true callings are patient, not urgent, not anxious, just quietly certain that eventually I would clear enough space to let it in. 1 year ago, I made the space. I put my name on the layoff list, intentionally, eyes open. It was a risk, and I took it with both hands. And then I started writing. Why writing came before the podcast. I didn't launch the podcast first. I came to this page twice a week before I felt like I had the tools, the clarity, the container. I wrote my way toward readiness. What I didn't expect was that the writing itself would become something, not a warm-up act, the thing. I've written in real time here. I've written while I was still inside experiences I didn't yet understand. I've stumbled on these pages, and I've also arrived on them breathless and certain and changed. I've written grief before I finished grieving. I've written love while I was living it. I've let my raw life land here unedited at the source because I believe with everything I have that our personal stories are the best teachers. I don't write to perform vulnerability. I write because something I've been through might help someone else find their footing on a path that has no map. That is the whole reason. It has always been the whole reason. The year that arrived. When I stepped off the ledge a year ago, this is what the universe sent me. A coaching practice built from intention and thin air. The dissolution of one vision of my life in Costa Rica and a reckoning with where my energy was actually going. A romantic partnership that shape-shifted as circumstances changed. A 4-month love that arrived precisely, taught precisely, and completed precisely, leaving me more clear about my own vision than I had been before. A new job, chosen with deep intentionality, and now, quietly and joyfully, a new relationship that arrived the way the podcast dream did, in that liminal space between sleep and waking, already resonant, already real. The river didn't slow down. I've been swimming in it, sometimes floating on my back in the sun, sometimes tumbling, searching for footing after a wave hit me sideways. Still swimming, still grateful for every stroke. What the hospital taught me about receiving. I want to tell you something honestly, because that is what we do here. This year I was hospitalized for 2 weeks with necrotizing fasciitis. I survived something serious, and I came out the other side not questioning the path I had taken. I am exactly where I need to be in every moment, and I know that without reservation. But thinking very carefully about something I had never examined closely enough: how to receive. I give freely. I always have. I take pride in it. It's woven into who I am and how I move through the world. But giving freely without equally honoring your capacity to receive is not generosity. It's a slow leak. 2 weeks into a hospital bed will strip away every distraction. What you need most becomes unmistakable. What I needed most was love, presence, affection, and what I encountered instead was its withholding from the person I would have expected it from least. That was the shift, not a crisis of faith in myself or my path, a clarification, a sharpening. I began to understand at a cellular level that I am inherently worthy of peace, of love, of joy, respect, abundance, reciprocity, not because I've earned it through giving enough or being enough, but because worthiness isn't a performance. It simply is. I still believe in giving freely. I don't think love is a ledger, but I now understand the difference between someone who gives freely because they are full and someone who gives because they don't believe they are allowed to receive. I've been, in more ways than I've admitted, the latter. I'm not anymore. What I carry now is a sharper discernment, a more finely tuned frequency, the genuine embodied belief that I deserve to attract energies that match my own, not ego, not scarcity, just the quiet dignity of a woman who finally, fully let the love in and then went looking for a life built on it. on returning to work and why it mattered. Re-entering the traditional workforce was something I did with intention, not reluctance. I needed to work for an organization that I believe is pushing the needle toward a better world. After a year of writing real stories in real time, I landed on supporting local news, an industry that is, at its heart, fighting for the same thing I fight for here. Truth told by real people in a world where truth and authenticity are becoming harder to find. It felt like alignment, not compromise, and it still does. The women I've found here. I have to say something about this community, about the writers I've discovered on this platform, women who are pouring their stories and their souls into the fabric of the internet. In that original dream, in that Philadelphia hotel room, one of the things I noticed was the absence of women's voices in spiritual spaces. Where were we? When we did speak, we were often sidelined. Substack has been an answer to that question I didn't know I was asking. I have found women here who are writing through grief, through awakening, through the beautiful and unglamorous work of becoming. Women who refuse to wait until they're safely on the other side of something before they write about it. Women who trust their readers with the in-between. You are weaving something real into the fabric of this world. I see you. I am so grateful to be writing alongside you. 1 year in, the goddess in training is still in training. I love where I've been. I love every jagged, luminous, confusing, clarifying piece of it. I love what this year asked of me, and I love that I answered. I love where I'm going, into a new relationship that feels like joy and possibility and creative partnership, into work that feels like purpose, into a version of myself whose discernment has never been sharper and whose heart has never been more open. And I love each and every one of you. You have received my confusion and my certainty, my grief and my becoming. You've been here for the waves and the stretches of still water. The river doesn't stop, but you get better at swimming. You learn that severity and softness are not opposites, that the same inner voice that woke you up in a Philadelphia hotel room keeps waking you up through near losses and new beginnings and everything in between. Keep listening. Invocation of Yamaya. Mother of waters, keeper of the deep, you who hold the grief and the becoming in the same tide, bless this year and every wave it sent. Bless the women writing truth into the world. Bless those who have learned to receive. May we flow freely, and may what we pour out return to us. Working with me. If this year sounds familiar, the texture of it, the in-betweenness, the places where you had to become someone you hadn't fully met yet, there is support available. As a transition doula, I walk alongside people in the tender, disorienting space between endings and what comes next. I've been living what I teach. I know this terrain. If you feel called to work together, you can find me at www.goddessintraining.online. If this writing has moved you, landed somewhere real, or given language to something you've been feeling, subscribe, like, share. New essays and podcast episodes arrive in your inbox as they emerge, honest and in real time. Thank you for being here, still here, always here.